Hey everyone, it's Christine Gritmon here with Social. This is the show that I do every single Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time, where I talk to some of my very smart friends about social media. And I'm really excited this week because this week's guest has some knowledge that nobody else I know seems to have, which is always amazing. We've got Michaela Alexis here. This side, right? Yes. I got Michaela Alexis here, LinkedIn specialist extraordinaire. And one of the things that most impresses me about her expertise is that she actually understands LinkedIn company pages. So we're going to be talking about LinkedIn company pages today. But first, hey, Michaela, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh gosh, where do I start? I have two very, very rambunctious puppies. Puppies! My personal brand, whether I like it or not.
I love it. Puppies and coffee are two big parts of your brand.
100%, and I got a little bit of both today.
Oh yeah.
So I started on LinkedIn back in 2016, and it was still during the time when it was like very stale and conservative. So I didn't have the easiest go at first when it came to LinkedIn because people were, even posting photos on LinkedIn of yourself was like very taboo. It was like, This isn't Facebook, this isn't Instagram. And I also noticed that a lot of people weren't talking about things that were actually really important to most of us. Things like fear of failure and rejection.
Vulnerability was unprofessional.
No, 100%. There's a personal self and the professional self, and you don't mix the two of them. And so I felt like as a marketer, I'm like, wow, there is a spot for weirdos like me in this otherwise very professional world. And so I started writing about the things that people weren't really talking about. And I realized pretty quickly that people were really hungry for it. You know, I've had articles that have gone viral. I've had, we launched a campaign in 2017 called #Let'sGetHonest that reached over 26 million users, where we basically...
Hang on one second. I'm not sure that we're live. Is anyone able to see us? Is anyone seeing us? If anyone's seeing us, oh yeah, we are live. Okay, that took a second.
So that campaign reached over 26 million users. We encourage people to get on camera and share a challenge or a vulnerability that they've had to overcome in their career. And I eventually basically took my side hobby. You know, I would spend the weekend with my mistress, my LinkedIn Pulse articles, and eventually it just became a full-time marriage. And now I get to travel the world and teach people about my passion, which even saying out loud is still like, how does anybody get to do this, right?
I love that.
It's been a really fun journey.
Awesome. So LinkedIn company pages, we all kind of know that we need to have them because it gives your company a sense of legitimacy. You don't have that weird little thumbnail of buildings on your work history. But a lot of people just kind of have them to have them. I feel like a lot of people don't know how, especially smaller businesses, big brands, sure, whatever, but smaller businesses, I feel like don't know how to use them. It's not like Facebook where your business page is such a thing. So, let's talk about, how people can use their company pages. First of all, how would you describe company pages on LinkedIn?
So company pages right now are terrible. Not because the tool doesn't work, because the tool definitely does work. It's just that people can't seem to wrap their heads around it. And I think it's very similar to personal branding on LinkedIn. I mean, now, especially after the Microsoft acquisition, you're seeing people that are really stretching outside their comfort zone. Yeah. They're creating series. They're having fun. They're sharing their personality. They're sharing their human side. But that was like 3 years in the making. Like, it took years for us to get to this point. And I think
most people still aren't there yet.
Most people still aren't there yet. It's still a work in progress. And when it comes to company pages, it's like that times a million. I think that there are so many companies that, I some of them are clients, and they tell me that LinkedIn pages don't work because they shared their really boring newsletter on their LinkedIn page and nobody cares.
Nope.
It's like, shocking, nobody cared about your boring newsletter.
I'm astonished by that.
I think that there's still this idea that either it's a billboard or there's a lot of intimidation around it because it seems like such a very stale and conservative platform. And I will travel the world and tell people that is not the case. And I have been absolutely loving LinkedIn pages so much, in fact, that I've created a relationship with the product team and have had some really fruitful conversations about where LinkedIn pages are going to be headed. And let me tell you, if you own a small to medium-sized business, this is possibly the biggest opportunity in business right now.
Wow. Those are some big words. So tell us why. Mm-hmm. Tell us what is going to be valuable about it.
So the first thing to remember is that LinkedIn has had a very specific audience, which tends to be, let's face it, enterprise companies, right? Yep. The ones that are going to spend money on recruiting. And even now, I think recruiting makes up, 65% of their revenue. So it's been a major focus for them for a very long time. From what I hear from the product team when it comes to LinkedIn pages is that they're shifting their focus now that they have captured the enterprise market. They're shifting their focus onto small to medium-sized businesses, specifically helping small to medium-sized businesses gain organic traction. And when he said that, legitimately, I almost spit out my coffee, because when is the last time that you have heard verbatim a platform saying, if you are a small to medium-sized business, we want to help you grow organically? I can't think of a single platform that kind of opportunity exists.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of fun things that have happened with LinkedIn pages, a lot of fun things that will be happening. One of the biggest things to note is that LinkedIn is very much and pretty blatantly copying a lot of the features that have worked well for Facebook. And they are at an advantage because, a lot of people talk about how slow. Well, a lot of people talk about how slow moving they've been. Mm-hmm. I actually think it's really smart because I am a slowpoke for life. That's why my favorite animal is a sloth. I love the fact that LinkedIn has moved very slowly, because what they've done is that they've gotten a competitive advantage by watching what has failed for Facebook and then taking those lessons and integrating it into the products that they're going to be introducing for their audience. So they've watched Facebook pages for a very long time, looked at what worked for them, and they're starting to integrate those products into LinkedIn pages. So some of the things are content suggestions. So there's a feature now that you can go to a tab. You can do it one of two ways. So if you have a large audience on your LinkedIn page, then you can choose your audience to see what they're actually engaging with outside of your page.
Oh, I love that.
And it will actually show you the engagement rate for each article. So what's amazing about that is that you're not just kind of blindly looking for articles that might be of interest to your audience. You are using real data that comes from LinkedIn and taking the guesswork out of it. You can also, if you don't have a large audience, you can just choose all LinkedIn members and then kind of separate it down from there. And get very, very specific on who you're trying to reach. And then that's a really great way to also attract the types of people that you're trying to have follow your company.
So how do you access those features, though? Is it clear?
Yeah, so LinkedIn is notorious for rolling things out very slowly.
Yeah.
I would say at this point, most people do have access to content suggestions.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a tab. When you go into the admin version of your company page, you'll see, and they're really good about actually showing you which features are new. So there is a tab that says content suggestions, and then there's a new sticker.
And they're probably ding! Yeah.
Yeah, check this out. So that's a really, really fun one. Yeah, really fun one. And then,
so content suggestions, that's really good for not only curated content that you can then share yourself, that's people are already engaging with it and looking at it.
Yes.
And if you're going to share that, by the way, I always tell people you should certainly include your own 2 cents there. Definitely 100%. Share it with some text saying what you think, even if you disagree with it. Be 100%. Hey, people are talking about this. I disagree with this, but I'm sharing with you, blah, blah, blah. But then also it can inspire you to create content along a similar topic, and especially if they've used a hashtag, you can hop onto that hashtag. Mm-hmm. Hashtags are an increasing thing on LinkedIn, which is crazy to me. I'm now?
So, it was one of those things that they tried it a few years ago and it didn't go over well. Again, I think that it came down to the culture.
Yeah.
Once LinkedIn acquired, or
Microsoft
acquired LinkedIn, they started to shift the culture of LinkedIn to more of one of innovation, where before it was very no, we don't want these features. It was the polar opposite of what a social media channel should really be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny that you mentioned hashtags, because I don't know if people actually know that you can choose up to 3 hashtags that can be associated with your page. So if somebody is looking up, let's say, LinkedIn training, if you look up hashtag LinkedIn training well, my page will actually be one of the first to pop up.
I love that you're informing the algorithm. You're informing the search.
100%. So that's a really fun feature. I mean, overall, they are just, think about all of the features that have happened, like early days with Facebook pages.
Yeah.
That is going to be features that they're going to integrate into LinkedIn pages. So I am actually in an email thread right now with the product manager about a new feature that is coming up. It should be like in the next couple weeks. It's going to be in May, where you are once a quarter.
May.
Sorry. You're going to be able to once a quarter invite all of your connections to follow your LinkedIn page.
What? That's nice.
For somebody that has a big network, so say somebody like me, I have 30,000 connections on LinkedIn. This is a huge advantage.
Yeah.
Right? So, and they're also trying to basically have people nurture both sides, your corporate brand and your personal brand, because they are integrating with each other.
That is so incredibly smart. So now let's go to how people should go about building before you have the option to invite your followers to follow your company page. Obviously, you could go bit by bit and like message them, but let's talk about how you built that incredible following on your LinkedIn company pages, on your LinkedIn company page, with the tools that are available right now. Because you have like 6,000 something followers on there.
Yeah, my goal is 10,000, and it's,
you're gonna get it.
You know what? I'm all about challenges, and somebody told me that LinkedIn pages don't work. They told me that last fall, and that was a big mistake.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you're probably like that too, Christine. When somebody says you can't do something, you're like, watch me. So that's my whole goal, because I want to be able to go to small to medium-sized businesses and say, me as a person, I've been able to grow this to 10,000 followers, not with cheesy videos or anything that's like super entertaining, but by making it a service hub and serving a community. And there's an important distinction there. So if you look at my company page, when I originally started with my company page, it was just to house my LinkedIn training videos. So I was creating these videos, and I'm like, why am I putting them on YouTube? This makes no sense, right?
Yeah, you're LinkedIn.
If I'm a LinkedIn expert, I better be able to find leads and close leads through the platform.
How long can videos be on LinkedIn now, by the way, to upload?
I'm not sure for company pages. I feel like it's either 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay, so like fairly short.
They're pretty short. I mean, not that you really want to go super long on LinkedIn anyways.
Yeah, people aren't there to watch videos.
Exactly. So, I mean, whenever people have longer videos, my suggestion is always to make it like a minute or less, and then include a link to wherever the video lives.
I like that.
Yeah. So it was once a week I was adding these videos, and then I started to realize that I would add them, and then people would have more questions about the topic. And then so I started creating content around answering those specific questions, which was ask Nick anything. And then it kind of grew into, okay, well, there's some people that are beginners, there's some people that are they're more advanced, but they're not quite at all-star level. So how can I help those people? So I had my all-star tips. And then it just kind of grew from there. But I think for me, it was shifting my mindset between this is a place to talk about me to this is my service hub for my company. And I want to make sure that any information that people might need to know about me and my services are available there so that they can make the decision before ever visiting my website.
That's really, really smart, and that gets them to visit your website. Now, I consume your content, both Michaela Alexis, the person, and you have public personal profiles on both LinkedIn and Facebook, and you're sharing a lot there. And you're also sharing on your professional Michaela Alexis brand. You're like me, which is there's a brand and there's a person, and they technically have the same name. Yeah. So how do you draw the distinction between what you're going to post as part of your personal brand and what you're going to post as part of your company?
Yeah, well, a big reason why I had to move into the company page space, period, was because I was starting to alienate my audience. So when I started working solo, I was almost at a crossroads because I would say about half of my audience was following me because I was a career vlogger or blogger. I was sharing my career experiences, motivational, inspirational kind of stuff. And then on the other side, I had people that were following me because they wanted to do what I was doing. They were interested in the LinkedIn training. And so I was torn because anytime I posted anything, I was alienating part of my audience and a big part of it. And so what I use my company page for is LinkedIn training. All LinkedIn training all day. I talk
I
about
love
my
that.
upcoming talks, all of that stuff. And then on my personal side, that's where I share what's happening in my career, how my solopreneurship journey is going, the lessons that I'm learning. I've talked about some things that are very personal to me, like when my dad passed away. So I shared that, but I wouldn't share that necessarily on my company page, right? Mm-hmm. Unless it was in the context of, I just need a little bit more time getting back to you kind of thing. So the messaging is very, very different on both of them, where I feel like even though I know I am a person, I run the Michaela Alexis business. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. I'm like sitting here like worrying in my own brain. I'm like, okay, so my FAQ videos and my social and all that stuff, I should probably put those on my LinkedIn company page. Yeah. And then my LinkedIn personal page can be like, let's start a discussion, you know, or like, here's a local thing that's happening. Because I have two audiences too. I have the audience that is small local business owners who don't get social media, and that's who I serve. But at the same time, I have the audience of my peers. You're part of that audience. And that has become an incredibly valuable audience to me. And so, I guess maybe my personal will speak more to them. My personal will be like, let's geek out together. And my professional will be like, all right, people who need help, here's some help.
Yeah, I think that like you want to almost think of, you want to think about your funnel, right? So on LinkedIn, if you don't have a company page, what do people do? They consume some of your content. They like it enough that they visit your profile. From there, they look for a website link. They go to your website. Mm-hmm. Well, what you do with your company page is that they're consuming your content, going to your profile, and then visiting your company page, then clicking on follow. So what's really great about that is that now all of a sudden you don't just have leads, but you have people that are following you through your personal brand, which makes them so much further down the line than they normally would
that
be.
Know, like, and trust.
They already know you.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, anybody that hires me is going to know exactly what they're going to get. Because, like, if you look at my company page, it's not like I'm going to show up in, like, you know, a pantsuit and a serious face.
No.
Like, that's not what my company page is all about.
Now, one thing I'm curious about is that, I mean, obviously, we're all starting out with, hopefully, our personal has a whole bunch of people in our network. Our company page doesn't. So to some degree, you do have to share stuff from the company page as your personal just to be like, hey, it's over here. But how do you kind of hit that balance of not overdoing it so that everyone's seeing everything twice?
Yeah. So there's definitely some cross-pollination. And for sure, there's some things that, especially if you're working a workshop or something, that might be relevant to everybody that you know, right? So you might want to promote that. But that is not the only way. And actually, LinkedIn is, like, right now is notoriously bad for shares. They just don't go very far. They aren't super effective.
Which is a shame. It's networking. Sharing should be primary.
So right now it's all about comments, right? So, but my method, the thing that's worked best for me, is just including your link in your content. Right? Just reminding people, like, part of it is like reminding people I have a company page, but you don't even have to be that specific, right? You can talk about, if you're talking about your solopreneurship journey, then you could say, when I started working solo and then you actually tagged your company page as Michaela Alexis, these are the lessons that I've learned. And that has been the single most valuable, effective strategy that I've had. Another thing that I also have been doing is, my sign off is Love and Coffee, and then it says Michaela, so it's like a letter. And what I've done, this was kind of sneaky actually, but I've changed the Michaela part into Michaela Alexis, and that's actually my company page link.
I love that. That is awesome. And that's a really good point about not being shy about linking it in comments. You know, it drives me crazy. This mostly happens to me on Facebook groups, but, you know, I'll be in a group of, you know, entrepreneurs, and someone will say, oh, what are your business goals this week? And someone will say, this just happened the other day. Someone said, to get more followers for my page. I'm like, and your page is? Link it here, mama. So that's a really good point. You know, next time I comment on someone's LinkedIn, post about, you know, I'm not sure how to use company pages or blah, blah, blah. I'll say, oh, I know, I had that problem too. Over on my Christine Gritmon page, over on my Christine Gritmon Inc. page, I have a great video with Michaela Alexis that talks about this. And then they see it. And hopefully while they're there, they look at other stuff.
You know what, in buildings where they have like the lit up exit sign?
Yeah.
So like if that sign was just like written on the wall or like wasn't written anywhere, there would be like so many people that would be in serious trouble, right?
Yes.
And yet when it comes to our content, we're constantly doing that. Like you need to have a big flashing sign to tell people where to go next.
Go over
Otherwise
there.
they won't do it. Yeah, sometimes we assume that people are going to take the next step, and that's really not the case. I mean, a true leader is able to lead with their content and give that next step to their audience.
I really love that. Speaking of which, I'm going to go ahead and ask people who are watching if they can please get their questions in, because I would love to put some of those questions up there for Michaela to answer for us all. In the meantime, I figure now might be a good time while we're kind of at a place where we're sort of close to wrapping up. I would love people to hear your story and how you became such a thing on LinkedIn. And you've told this story 10,000 times, but I'm not sure everyone in my audience has heard it.
Yeah, my whole journey with LinkedIn is like absolutely wild. I mean, it was in March of 2016. I was laid off from the tech startup that I was working at. And I was kind of at a crossroads because I was 29 years old, about to hit 30, and like, I just didn't know if marketing was a thing. Like, I was just miserable. I was going from job to job once every few years.
Oh, those millennial job hoppers.
Yeah, well, the biggest
I call it well-rounded.
It was just the layoffs, right? There is no real loyalty between the employer and the employee, and so I thought that there must be something better than doing this. And so I reached out to Scott Stratton. For any marketer, they probably know who Scott is. And I asked him for some career advice, and he not only gave me some career advice, but he sent me this huge box of books. And
love it.
There was like writing and marketing books in there.
Were there any mugs? Any coffee mugs?
Yeah. I devoured every single one of them, started writing on LinkedIn, and within 2 weeks, my content started going viral. So it just goes to show, I mean, there's so many lessons in there. Number one is just go for it, because you never know, like a small action can have huge consequences, good and bad.
Yeah.
And also that writing is actually a skill. It's something that you can learn and you can grow and you can develop, and that's definitely been the case for me. I mean, if you look at some of my first articles on LinkedIn, like some of the people listening will probably laugh because they're awful, but it's something that you just need to work on. And so I've been doing that over the last 3 years and just writing about things that other people didn't want to talk about and just shaking up the conversation as much as I can and trying to kind of incorporate more heart into a business world that can sometimes be very cold. Now,
you've developed a really good following for your articles on LinkedIn. Is there any thought, first of all, can you do a similar blog type of article collection on a company page, or is it only profile right now?
I'm glad that you asked that. So you can only do it on your profile now, but there are plans to have a blogging feature within a company page, which is super exciting, right? Because you think about all the companies that are using Medium, they're using their website, but how great would it be to be able to point your audience to an article, and then they can look at all of the rest of the work that your company has produced. So that will be very exciting.
That will be exciting. Another thing that's exciting, I know you're a part of the beta now for LinkedIn Live video, which is great. So that is also currently profiles only. Do you have any idea if that's planning to roll out to companies?
It already has been. There's a very select few. I'm trying to remember which companies have access to it. I actually just got invited. I know that the companies obviously that are running LinkedIn Live do have access. So like Social Live, I do believe, I'm not sure about Switcher, but anyways, all of those softwares definitely do. Some of the bigger companies do. It's a very, very slow rollout, but yeah, that's definitely going to be a really interesting one. There are all sorts of rules in terms of using LinkedIn Live that are kind of interesting, but make a lot of sense. No selling. No talking about LinkedIn within LinkedIn Live.
That's so weird.
Hard for somebody that does.
What is that about? That's crazy. I just tried to start a group, on LinkedIn because I'm a local LinkedIn local host. And people who attended our first one said, it would be really useful to have a group of attendees so that we can stay in touch. And I had to name it not including the words LinkedIn. In fact, it's being glitchy. It hasn't let me start the group at all yet, but that's just a glitch.
they're very protective of their brand, which I think has actually really served them well,
Yeah.
because I know that LinkedIn back in the day had a whole bunch of problems in terms of spam and just a lot of crap that was on the platform. And they've really like spent a lot of time to clean it up. So I completely understand why they're so protective. And I actually admire it because it's been the downfall of a lot of other platforms.
Yeah, but no talking about LinkedIn on LinkedIn seems a little weird.
Well, I understand that it's like kind of meta.
Yeah.
But it also is, it's fun to be a little bit more creative and talk about things that you really care about.
Yeah, you just talked about, sorry, go ahead.
I think it pushes people to not just talk about what they know, but what's important to them. So you're seeing a lot more content around mental health and about morning routines and interviews. So I think it's actually sparked some really interesting conversations that pull people out of that I'm an expert mode and into I'm a human mode.
I just worry it'll pull people too far into I'm a human mode, because I really do worry about LinkedIn Live just going to Facebooky and stopping being about business. I feel like if you're on LinkedIn, you want to talk business, you know?
Yeah, well, I think that's probably part of the reason that the beta is so, like, it's such a small test group, because they want to keep on top of, well, the analytics, but also the content that's being produced. I think it would probably be absolutely bananas if it was rolled out all at once. I'm thinking about exactly what you're mentioning right now, and people not knowing that they're live and just seeing their chins and
yes.
Because LinkedIn is also very different, right? You have a lot of people that have maybe never used, I just talked to somebody 2 seconds ago on Zoom that said it was the first time they'd ever used Zoom. So a lot of people that have never been on video, that have hidden behind their work their whole lives. And so it is a big jump for some of these people to get on live video.
It is. But so it's good that they're kind of focusing on the people who kind of get it already. Another beta that they're rolling out is subscriptions to articles or video series. Are you part of that beta yet?
I'm not.
Okay, because that is a thing.
Yeah, I'm not. I haven't been writing as many articles as they did back in the day, mostly because you just don't get the return on them that you used to.
It helped you build a name, and now you're working.
Yeah, I mean, before, like, you wrote an article and it was sent to your entire network, and now that's just not the case. So there's not quite as much bang for your buck. I still think that it's worth exploring, especially if you are writing for other publications, if you're writing on Medium. I mean, Medium and LinkedIn Pulse has the exact same drag and drop template. So it literally takes like 2 seconds to just copy and paste it onto one or the other.
Yeah.
And I tell people to do that all the time because there are scouts on both platforms. Some people that just scout for articles on LinkedIn Pulse and some that are scouting on Medium. And so I've had a lot of articles that have been picked up by different channels on both of them just by kind of duplicating my efforts.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
But to the point about the subscriptions, that is in beta, and there are content creators where it's essentially like sometimes people can subscribe to blogs as well, and they get it in their RSS there. So that's an interesting beta. I'm following a couple people, and I get a special notification when they produce an article. And right now, since LinkedIn Live video is so new, of course, they're informing the hell out of me when one of my friends goes live on LinkedIn. But I wonder if that's going to be similar, too, where you can subscribe to people's video content. But that seems to be just personal for now, and it would be nice to be able to subscribe to a business's content.
I'm sure that's probably something that's coming down the pipe. I mean, LinkedIn, again, is a very safe platform, like, in comparison to other ones, right? Even the thing like subscribing to a blog series. I mean, Medium has been doing that for a while now.
Yeah.
Right? And it's the same format. So I think that what they do is essentially do a lot of research, a lot of development. I know that they've been sending out surveys for everything new feature to try and figure out what works, what's not working, what people want more of. But it makes it really exciting because I'm just thinking like a year from now how different the platform might be, and it's just been really fun to watch it grow.
And now they have events too. I'm part of the events beta, which is great. And that too I hope rolls out to companies. Like, I would really like it if it's not just coming from Christine the person.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So really exciting stuff. And I don't think we have questions. I'm really sorry if I'm just not seeing them. I'm kind of trying this new, I'm new to eCam. But thank you so much, Michaela Alexis. And your company is Michaela Alexis. And it's written right there, Michaela Alexis. And I don't think we even said officially what you do.
Yeah, so I'm a LinkedIn trainer, strategist, speaker. I call myself a millennial LinkedIn master,
Nice.
Which is probably as arrogant as you can possibly get.
Yeah, whatever.
But
you can back
you know
it up.
What? So I do that. I've also co-written a book called Think Video, which is all about smart video marketing and influencing. It was a book that originated in Spain, and then I expanded it for the North American market. So it's a really fantastic book, especially if you're just getting into the video game. I find that it's a really big jump for some people. Yeah. And so this book kind of like lays it out step by step on how you can get there, and gives all sorts of great advice from video creators, from YouTube, from Facebook, and even from LinkedIn itself.
I love that. So I'm going to link in the comments after we're offline. I'm going to link people to your LinkedIn page.
Yep.
And to my LinkedIn page, which is about to get much cooler now that I know what the heck I'm doing. Again, I do this show every single week. This is Michaela's second time on my show, by the way. She was on my show a couple of years back. I've been doing this since 2017. I hadn't met you yet when you first did my show, so now I've actually met you in real life, which is lovely. I've shared actual hugs and coffee and wine. And yeah, I do this every week. And next week we're talking about Instagram. My friend Elizabeth Finkelstein, I was actually a fan of her before I knew her personally, much like yourself, except she literally lives here in Nyack now. She runs a website called Circa. It's about old houses, and I'm obsessed with old pretty houses. And she kills it on Instagram, and she's recently introduced a value add. She has a protected, like, private Instagram account for, I think, Patreon subscribers. And it's kind of brilliant, all the different ways you can do value ads on Instagram. And thanks to this week's F8 announcements, I think probably next week's show is going to be even more interesting than when we first planned it. So, people who are interested in Instagram or old pretty houses or whatever, tune in next Friday at 12 noon, here on Christine Gritmon Inc. Thank you so much, Michaela Alexis. I'm totally going to go revamp my profile now. Oh, my friend Anthony does have a question. My friend Anthony says, anything you would do when you see information that's incorrect on LinkedIn, but not appear like a negative? Example, cannabis is hot on LinkedIn right now, but a lot of misinformation. I'm not even sure how to answer that exactly.
Just reporting false information on a company page, or just in general?
I think probably in general, maybe because we were talking about how you can see conversations that are happening. I mean, that's another good opportunity to just join a conversation, comment, and say, if you want real info, check out my page.
Yeah, that would be the best way to kind of approach those things. There's all sorts of reporting options too on LinkedIn. Like, they're really, really good about that. You can report content that is inappropriate. You can report
fake
content.
News.
Yeah, you can report content that is posted just for the sake of virality, which is something that I haven't seen on other platforms. But I think it's super, super interesting, because that is a big problem on LinkedIn. They repurpose viral content from other platforms. So there's all sorts of ways that you can, but I think the best strategic approach would certainly be, if you are an expert in the field and somebody is posting misinformation, then go on and correct it and show off your expert skills.
Exactly. He just said, I don't want to come off like a know-it-all or a D. Well, yeah, but another word for know-it-all is expert. So if you come at it, know-it-all is, no, you're wrong, here's what's right. Expert is, I'm going to offer you some value here. It comes from a different place. You have a different tone when you're being a know-it-all versus an expert, but you can still, don't be afraid to be an expert. Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the only way to grow, honestly. I mean, you gotta show what you know.
Rock it out. Well, thank you so much, Michaela Alexis. You're fabulous. Thank you everyone who joined us. And, tune in next Friday at noon.
Bye, guys.